I'm in the garage playing with the Stomper again. Just looking down here, I picked up a set of seats. So I picked up a pair of PRP PRP Podium seats from a guy who had bought them for a project he was working on, and then the project never came to fruition, so they'd just been sitting in his garage, never been mounted in anything, just sat in once or twice. But anyway, I had a pair of Honda DelSol bucket seats in the Stomper before. The DelSol seat, which I really like, due to the high bolstering on the sides here, usually holds you in fairly decent. The torso area holds you in fairly decent. Excuse me. However, the bottom is really flat. It doesn't really, the base doesn't really hold you in. So when you're side hilling and bouncing around in the rocks, you tend to end up with your hips banging off of the ammo can center console or off the door. So I found a good deal on these PRPs and decided that it was a good investment. My previous DelSol seats I had modified. I'd cut the bottom of the metal. Originally, the seat had a solid metal base to it. I cut out the metal base and I had bolted in a basket weave of these rubber bungee cords to give me kind of my own suspension seat, which honestly works excellent. You could definitely tell the difference. Way easier on the spine when you're bouncing around in the trails and the woods and whatnot. So, kind of a inexpensive, DIY hack there, trying to come up with a way to, just to save my spine and my back. But these new PRPs, they are also a suspension style seat. So this one doesn't have the pad in the bottom, but I have it. But they're suspension style, which should definitely be good on the spine. Also, you can see they've got, they got a big a side brace here on both sides, which is definitely going to help in keeping you in place when you're bouncing around in the trails and the woods and whatnot. So I did have the headrest portion of the seat actually was angled back so far. Sitting in the seat, even with a helmet on, it was back so far that it really wasn't useful in the position that for myself anyway, for my body shape, it seemed to be angled back too far, and it was going to hit the back window of the truck and prevent the sliding portion from working. And anybody that's wheeled in one of these little tiny standard cab trucks with, no air conditioning and stuff, we need all the ventilation we can get. So I actually stuck a 2x4, two 2x4s through this hole here, up through the back side of the seat, and I put my feet right here on the corners. I put my knees right here against this point on both sides, and then I took that 2x4 and pulled it towards me on the back, and it bent this headrest forward slightly, and I'll show you a picture of that. But the back of the seat now is tight to the back of the cab, and the headrest is just far enough away from that window to give me, should be good to slide it. So now I'm going to figure out what I want to do to mount the base of the seats. I don't know if you can see around my harness thing there, but it's got, they got 4 holes all facing, front to back. So I'm going to come up with some sort of L bracket system to bolt these things down. I'm just 6 foot tall, so I need all the leg room that this little tiny first generation cab will allow me to have. So I'm going to try and figure out a way to mount those seats as far back against that back wall as I can, while still making that sliding window useful, and we'll see how things go. This is how I bent the headrest on the other seat. Took a couple of 2x4s, slid them into the 4-point harness opening slot here. Got my feet firmly planted on the base side rails, put my knees right here in the corners, and then I lean backwards, try and adjust this according to my needs. So a couple of tweaks, and we'll set her in the cab, see how she fits. All right, so I got the seats all in and mounted up, and we've taken the truck for a little test drive, and they seem to be holding in there rock solid. So what I ended up doing was utilizing a piece of angle iron actually here in the front underneath. And I'm not sure if we can see that or not, but drilled a hole in it this way for the factory tab on the seat that's mounted vertically here, and then drilled down through the floor that way, which actually is right where this factory hump is, channel is, so the metal is double layered thick here at the floor edge. So that worked really good for the front. On the back edge, yeah, we're not going to be able to see it, but trying to keep, obviously this cab is just so tiny, so trying to keep the seats as low as possible. I actually took that tab and bent it 90 degrees, cut it open so it's a slotted hole, and then drilled a hole in the floor, slid my bolt in, through this new groove that I made to drop it through the floor, and then bolted it up from underneath. So that allowed me to get the seat as low as possible and as far back as possible. It's touching the glass, but it isn't restricting the movement of the glass at all on the sliding window. And the seating position is good. They hold you rock solid, and my 6-foot tall frame fits in there well. My clutch leg is not quite fully, straight when I have the clutch all the way to the floor. So really turned out great. Couldn't be happier. My little 2-track and test ride was okay, but man, I really can't wait to get this thing back on the rocks and really take advantage of the new security. So again, thanks for watching Turbo's Toy Box, and see what kind of project we drag into this garage next. Have a great Sunday, y'all.